67, 30. RAMNANT 2 all ring. I'm about to find out. God damn. Yeah, there's no way there's 140 of these things. Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72. Alright, so that's 72 on that side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72. Damn! There is a... That's a... Whoa. So there is 140 fucking 4. It's crazy. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 60. Damn. Jesus Christ, that's way too much.
And why you should be using it. The hyperconductor is one of the best amulets in the game and is viable with any build you want to run. You find the amulet in the train event in the narrative. If you have already done the train event and don't have the amulet, you will have to re-roll in adventure mode and do it again. For us, we started off in the Forgotten Prison, then defeated the boss in Putrid Domain. After that, we went to Ian Vault. From here, we went to the left and found Terminus Station. Explore the station and get to the end after fighting some enemies. Once you get on the train, the event will start. Keep moving through the cars by defeating the robots. Once you get to a car with a ladder, look to the left. Break the round item, which will reveal a small crawl space behind it. Crawl through and here you will find a chest. Open it and pick up the hyperconductor. The hyperconductor reduces the cooldown of your skills by 50% and also doubles their charge. Not only that, it also doubles heavy weapon ammo and reduces mod power generation by 15%. Having double charges for abilities is a major buff, and also they cool down in half the time. This is an insane amulet and you should try it out and let us know what you think. Nutcrackering in average underwear. Nutcrackering into...
Unfucking believable.
choose thirsty.
Here is how you can get the hyperconductor and why you should be using it. The hyperconductor is one of the best amulets in the game and is viable with any build you want to run. You find the amulet in the train event in the Nerid. If you have already done the train event and don't have the amulet, you will have to re-roll.
Remnant 2 Top 10 Best Rings.
Here is how you can get the hyperconductor and why you should be using it. The hyperconductor is one of the best amulets in the game and is viable with any build you want to run. You find the amulet in the train event in the Nerid. If you have already done the train event and don't have the amulet, you will have to re-roll in adventure mode and do it again. Here is how you can get the hyperconductor and why you should be using it. The hyperconductor is one of the best amulets in the game and is viable with any build you want to run. You find the amulet in the train event in the Nerid. If you have already done the train event and don't have the amulet, you will have to re-roll in adventure mode and do it again. For us, we started off in the Forgotten Prison, then defeated the boss in Putrid Domain. After that, we went to Ian Vault. From here, we went to the left and found Terminus Station. Explore the station and get to the end after fighting some enemies. Once you get on the train, the event will start. Keep moving through the cars by defeating the robots. Once you get to a car with a ladder, look to the left. Break the round item, which will reveal a small crawl space behind it. Crawl through and here you will find a chest. Open it and pick up the hyperconductor. The hyperconductor reduces the cooldown of your skills by 50% and also doubles their charge. Not only that, it also doubles heavy weapon ammo and reduces mod power generation by 15%. Having double charges for abilities is a major buff, and also they cool down in half the time. This is an insane amulet and you should try it out and let us know what you think. skill cooldowns by 50% and reduces mod power regeneration by 15%. For heavy weapons, it doubles your heavy weapon ammo instead. So all this does is, say you've got a skill, this is going to give you 2 charges, but it is going to increase your cooldowns for that skill, but you can't get around that with other things. This is pretty nice. If you've got, say you're a medic and you're playing self, you've got self-res, you're going to get 2 self-res charges. If you have a skill that has 2 charges already, you're going to get 4. So this basically just doubles all your skills. It's super nice. Like I said, it does increase your skill cooldowns by 50%, but like I said, you can't get around that with a few things. So let's jump over and I'll show you how to go about getting this. So the first thing you're going to want to do is open up your world map where you're going into Naruud. What you're going to do is basically play your way through Naruud. You're looking for a place called the Terminus Station, and you're looking for a thing called the train event. It is random, but there is a way to go around finding this. So basically, say you work your way through Naruud, you don't come across the terminus station or the train event. All you're going to do is go back out. You're going to go down to your world settings. You're going to go to your adventure. Don't worry, your adventure mode does not affect your story campaign, so you're not going to basically wreck anything. All you're going to do is choose Naruud. You're basically going to choose your difficulty, and you're going to basically re-roll the adventure. So if you go through Naruud, you don't find the terminus station or the train event, you're basically just going to go in the adventure mode and keep rolling it until you find it. It is a wee bit of RNG, I know it's a bit of a pain in it. So the perk that comes with this one is gain double skill charges, increases skill cooldowns by 50% and reduces mod power regeneration by 15%. For heavy weapons, it doubles your heavy weapon ammo instead. So all this does is, say you've got a skill, this is going to give you 2 charges, but it is going to increase your cooldowns for that skill, but you can't get around that with other things. This is pretty nice. If you've got, say you're a medic and you're playing self, you've got self-res, you're going to get 2 self-res charges. If you have a skill that has 2 charges already, you're going to get 4. So this basically just doubles all your skills. It's super nice. Like I said, it does increase your skill cooldowns by 50%, but like I said, you can get around that with a few things. So let's jump over and I'll show you how to go about getting this. So the first thing you're going to want to do is open up your world map where you're going into Naruud. All you're going to do is basically play your way through Naruud. You're looking for a place called the Terminus Station, and you're looking for a thing called the train event. It is random, but there is a way to go around finding this. So basically, say you work your way through Naruud, you don't come across the terminus station or the train event. All you're going to do is go back out. You're going to go down to your world settings. You're going to go to your... There is...
RAMNANT 2 top 10 rings.
We're here to prove that whatever cup you love, Fury has you covered. Iced coffee, please.
This is delicious.
Latte. Black coffee.
So we did black
Cappuccino, please?
chocolate
I'm up here.
now
Okay, I'm coming out. Any coffee you need?
because I need to get that.
With
Remnant 2 having incredible build customization, it can be hard to figure out what set is best for your playstyle. One of the most important aspects when deciding on your build's gear is rings. You can equip 4 at any given time, which makes you think hard about whether you want to go all out on damage or get some survivability instead. That being said, what are the best rings? Which ones should you be looking at when you decide to change things up? I come to you with this video to explain just how good the top 10 rings are in Remnant 2. Also, be sure to use the favorite feature on these 10 once you get them, so they'll always show up at the top of your many ring choices. Starting at number 10, we have the Burden of the Gambler. The elusive cast can sell this from time to time, and it's got a lot of utility. Wearing it disables weak spots altogether. However, your crit chance is increased by 10%, and crit damage is upped by 20%. Now, this can be used with many different builds to grant near 100% crit chance, and much more damage when doing so. I myself have used it on a few gun builds to spray and pray, as a couple boss fights hide their weak spots anyway. That being said, try not to use this ring with gun-based builds. Weak spots are so powerful that it's better to just sacrifice a bit of crit chance for weak spot crit, the big red numbers that are higher than anything else you're gonna get. Instead, use it with mod-based builds. Explosions can indeed hit crit, and when paired with this, they can deal some massive damage. Like I said, you can use it with guns, and I've done so myself, but be aware it is much better set up to boost the bots instead. For number 9, we have Fei Rin's Sigil. This item can be earned by telling Fei Rin that you defeated Fei Lin. The names can be a bit trippy, I know. This little guy makes it so any weak spot or crit damage generates 10% additional mod power. So red and yellow numbers greatly increase your mod regeneration. With certain guns, you can loop this to have infinite mod power, as some mods will be fully recharged by the time they run out. I find this particularly useful at keeping non-elemental mods active more often. You don't really need it when running Archon, but in a way, Fei Rin's Sigil acts as if you have on the Archon class even when you don't. Mods are extremely important, as some of them can protect from damage or simply increase your overall damage. Use this ring to keep your most powerful attacks active as much as possible. At number 8, we have Vestige of Power. Found on Yesha, this guy is a very easy buff to maintain. After 7 seconds of not being damaged, you gain 10% increased ranged and melee damage. Not that great for melee, but you might as well get some extra damage from your perfect gameplay. In lower difficulties where you can take a bit of damage here and there, it's not as great. And for medic users who want to be immune to everything, definitely do not use this. But some rings have situational buffs where you can get more damage, like must get a kill first or something. Vestige of Power requires only that you don't die, and 10% range damage is nothing to scoff at. Number 7 is the Ring of Blood Beauty. This actually stands as one of the most powerful rings in the game when used correctly. Unfortunately, it has a major drawback that must be considered when selecting it. All ranged weak spot damage is increased by 25%. However, ranged damage that is not a weak spot is reduced by 15%. When you can easily hit weak spots or the vulnerable part of an enemy, this is the most OP ring, granting a massive boost to damage and greatly increasing your red numbers. Sadly, this is only for ranged damage, which means melee and mods do not get the effect. On top of this, you are penalized for not hitting those weak spots. And Remnant 2 is distinct for making it very difficult to hit weak spots at times. Against the final boss, this is a very good ring, as he has a huge weak spot, that being his massive head. But a lot of boss fights were designed for you to either have trouble hitting these, or not be able to hit them at all. This makes the Ring of Blood Beauty more selective depending on the boss. So while it is extremely powerful, you won't want to run it all the time. Oh, and this is another item from Cass, who seems to have most of the better rings, annoyingly enough. Number 6 is the Ring of Omens. Found in the Cathedral of Omens during a blood moon on Yesha, this is one of the more unique rings in the game. By itself, it will make evades cost health instead of stamina, converting a percentage into gray health. With some health regen, this is already extremely valuable as you gain infinite dodging. Running out of stamina because you messed up and hit evade too many times can mean death, and it's a frustrating way to go. Ring of Omens lets you be more free with your impatient self. But the other hidden feature of this ring is that when it's worn with a couple of amulets, you have a shade step instead of a regular dodge. Equip any of the amulets on screen now, and the ring will give you a shady short-range teleport. This does not account for weight, letting you wear the most tanky armor without flop dodging. Yes, it's a cool effect and very fun to have, but it's also more than that. You have much more leeway in combat and don't need to try as hard to dodge perfectly. Amazing addition to the game if you ask me. The 5th best ring in Remnant 2 is the Singed Ring. Found in the Butcher's Quarter of Lossum, it will increase all damage dealt to burning enemies by 10%. All damage is increased to burning enemies, meaning you don't actually need any fire damage. If your co-op buddy is using fire, or your flame turret on Engineer is burning enemies, you gain more mod damage, skill damage, and gun damage. Used correctly, it can be very easy to have a 10% boost all the time, more so in boss fights than anywhere else. This just provides you with so many options, as you can try to keep burning active to boost the turret, simply support another teammate, or use hotshot yourself to output some higher numbers. Anything fire involved should be using this guy right here, as it's very easy to keep its buff active. For 4th place, we have the Stone of Malevolence. It will go down as the most broken item in Remnant 2 history, as it was bugged for the longest time to just grant infinite mod energy. Spamming everything in the game was quite fun, I have to admit. Now that the thing's been fixed, it properly generates 15% additional mod power when dealing elemental damage. While not regenerating your mods in 1 second like before, it still increases their uses by a lot. In fact, on mods that already come back quickly, this makes them more used than your guns. Now, this gets even crazier when paired with explosive abilities. There's an amulet that makes all explosions deal a little bit of fire damage. It's the best for AoE-based builds and will activate this ring constantly, thus allowing you to get so much more damage out in less time. Also, seeing as damage over time from elements is extremely useful on tougher bosses, this is always a good option to select from. Coming in at number 3, we have the Akari Warband. Unsurprisingly, this is also sold from Cass. I know you're muttering curse words under your breath right now, but Cass unfortunately locked out some really good stuff. This ring makes it so that perfect dodges increase critical chance by 15% and critical damage by 15% for 15 seconds. What this really means is that you always have 15% more crit chance and damage. In boss fights, you'll always be dodging to avoid dying, and the perfect dodge is really lenient. As long as you don't get hit, you almost always get the perk. Crit damage is extremely good in this game as it offers the most damage possible. Mods can get over 2,000 damage at a time. Certain guns can reach 10,000 crit in a single shot, and automatic guns deal almost constant crit. It's a very powerful source of damage that becomes easy to boost once you have the right gear. And Akari Warband is one of the easiest ways to boost it. The second best ring in Remnant 2 is Xania's Malice. Dealing weak spot damage increases weak spot damage by 10% for 7 seconds. Found in Root Earth, this can grant a consistent buff of 30% more weak spot damage. It is immensely powerful and only requires you to hit weak spots. Sitting is one of the best damage buffs in the game and not hurting you at all by running it. This feels great on every single gun-based build and even on a few mod-based ones. Also looking very cool, it stands out quite a bit and makes it more memorable. Xania's Malice can melt bosses when used correctly. Now the only reason it isn't number 1 is that it is useless when not hitting weak spot. Just does nothing. And as we discussed earlier, it can be tough to hit weak spots depending on the enemy. Not usable 100% of the time, even though it is a very strong item. Now for the single most powerful ring in Remnant 2, Probability Cord. Found on Root Earth, it increases all crit damage by 30%. A massive buff to crit and with absolutely no downside. As most damage can crit, this is an instant buff, always active and with no drawbacks. If you happen to get high crit chance, you'll be putting out some insane damage. And even when not guaranteed, the occasional crit will still be like a nuke going off. This is an item I find myself using in a lot of builds. There really isn't another buff quite like it. For Apocalypse, this is the item I think about adding first, and when used to hit weak spot crit, you can obliterate everything, cutting massive chunks of health from bosses at any time. Now, damage isn't all that matters in this game, as survivability is important, and utility needs some attention as well. But Probability Cord can work for almost any type of build. Seriously, try to fit this in your build if at all possible, and watch the yellow numbers rise. And there you have the top 10 rings in Remnant 2. These are items I find myself using often, and most work in many different build types. Also, none of these are hardcore rings, so you can get them on any run of the game. Some of you may already have a set of rings you cycle through constantly, but if not, these are some excellent options to keep in mind. Also, do remember that just because these are objectively the 10 best rings in the game, does not mean you have to use them. Depending on the gun, depending on the...
Yeah, no. As long as I have... Babe, it's almost 6 o'clock. Wake up. Oh, Willie, so when are you gonna do it then? I'm not taking you anywhere. You can take a left. Should've done yes for you. I knew you were gonna be a lazy piece of shit.
Four rolls in one.
What's going on, gamers? Today we're going to be diving back. this time we're going to be looking at the best and most powerful amulets in the game. So if that interests you, then stay tuned. That's coming up next. So today we're back in Remnant 2 and we're looking at some of the strongest amulets currently in the game that can really help your character out to excel in either damage, survivability, or just things that you should be looking out for because there's something special about them that makes them shine compared to a lot of the others. Now the first one we're going to be going over is going to be this one right here, the Indignant Fetish. Taking damage from enemies increases all damage dealt by 25% and reduces all incoming damage by 10%, and it lasts for 20 seconds. Ideal for a tank build, ideal for dishing out a bit of damage for those who are like me and tend to get hit quite often. Over to our next one, and one of my new favourites is going to be the Hyperconductor. This one is absolutely amazing for your skill builds because you're going to gain double skill charges, which can be really... What's going on, gamers? Today we're going to be diving back into Remnant 2, and this time we're going to be looking at the best and most powerful amulets in the game. So if that interests you, then stay tuned. That's coming up next. So today we're back in Remnant 2 and we're looking at some of the strongest amulets currently in the game that can really help your character out to excel in either damage, survivability, or just things that you should be looking out for because there's something special about them that makes them shine compared to a lot of the others. Now the first one we're going to be going over is going to be this one right here, the Indignant Fetish. Taking damage from enemies increases all damage dealt by 25% and reduces all incoming damage by 10%, and it lasts one of my new favourites is going to be the Hyperconductor. This one is absolutely amazing for your skill builds because you're going to gain double skill charges, which can be really handy on some of your stronger builds. Increases skill cooldown, however, by 50% and reduces your max power generation by 15%, so it does have a bit of a trade-off. For your heavy weapons, it's going to double the heavy weapons ammo instead. A really unique amulet and one that can work amazing in certain builds. Moving on to another amulet that's amazing for your skill builds, and that's going to be the Silver Ribbon. Increases your skill damage by 25%, and activating a skill also grants you haste for 15 seconds. Easy to use, and a nice little damage buffer for all of your skills. However, if it's not your skills you're after, and instead you want a bit more of your mod damage, then the Golden Ribbon is going to be a great one to turn to. This one's going to give you 25% extra damage to your mods upon activating the mod itself, and it's also going to grant haste for 15 seconds. So again, pretty much the alternative to the last one. If you're after some mod damage and some haste in your build, this is probably going to be your go-to. Jumping over to our next one, and one that I have really enjoyed using, is going to be the Twisted Idol. If you're after a bit of damage mitigation, you want as much armour as you possibly can, as well as getting your encumbrance down, then this one is going to increase your armour effectiveness by 30% and reduce encumbrance by 15%. Easy to chuck on a lot of builds and really good for those heavy armour sets. Over to a much more damaging amulet, and this time we've got the Abrasive Whetstone. This one's all about your bleed damage, and now when you're attacking a bleeding enemy, your crit chance is going to be increased by 15%, and critical damage is also increased by a further 30%. Absolutely massive and a great DPS amulet for anyone after some crit damage. Another amazing amulet to look at is going to be Talisman of the Sun. This works in a lot of builds because there's a lot of good fire damage one, from your Hot Sharp all the way over to your Firestorm. And if you were doing something like chucking on a Ring of Omens, you can also get Misty Step from this as well. However, as standard, it increases your fire damage by 20% and your burning damage by 50%. So just an amazing fire amulet if that's the element route you're choosing to go down. Jumping over to the Navigator's Pendant, and this one's a really good, well-rounded one that's great for those builds that are focusing on survivability. It's going to grant you 20 health, 20 stamina, and minus 10 armor encumbrance again. So definitely one you may want to look at if you want to be a bit more focused on your defences, as well as grant yourself a little bit of extra health. Going over to the Matriarch's Insignia, and this one's going to be all about your melee damage. Increases your melee damage by 35%, and it also causes all successful melee attacks to generate 10 stamina. So great for people that want to swing away in those closer range melee builds. Next up, and we've got one of the very best items in the game for providing you with out and out damage, and that's going to be the Anchor Power. This one works pretty much in every build, I want to say. Just wearing it grants 15% increase to all of your damage. However, if you're going to be consuming a relic, it's going to boost it up by another 15%, allowing you to have a massive 30% extra damage, all increased for 15 seconds. Just a really good overall damage amulet to use, and great because you can proc it whenever you want by using those relics. Over to probably the best lifesteal amulet, and this time we've got the Full Moon Circlet. Range damage, lifesteal 3% of base damage. At full health, it's also going to increase all of your damage dealt by 20%.
I never run.
What?
So if you can manage to run, gun, keep yourself topped up with health enough, then this will also be a constant 20% extra damage on top of that. Jumping over to one of the best healing items in the game, and that's going to be Nimue Ribbon. This item is just so good and effective at your healing builds because it's going to increase your relic healing effectiveness.
On broadcast? It's gonna go on my phone. That's how she does it.
By 50%. And also, whenever you do activate a relic, you're going to grant haste, but this one for a whopping 25 seconds. If you're trying to survive pretty much anything, you want